You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He's over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, big day today. The PQ took the wraps off their budget for year one of a sovereign Quebec. And I'm going to play a clip for you in a sec, but I know Pierre St-Pierre Plamondon, the leader of the PQ today, said, and I'm quoting, an independent Quebec would be one of the world's wealthiest nations. You're in on that, Jim?
Well, he also compared us to Slovakia, so I don't know what to think.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, of course, people know Slovakia. Is there? I'm not sure what Slovakias do we have now. We have the Chechens. What's the world map look like as far as Slovakia is concerned?
Well, it used to be called Czechoslovakia.
Right. Now?
And now there's Slovakia, and there's the Czech Republic. And I'm told it was an amicable separation. But
Okay.
I think Slovakia got the better end of that deal.
Uh-huh. So give me your take on what you did here today. And I know there's more to come, but just your initial reaction.
I wonder if the rest of the provinces is fed up of having its intelligence insulted by the Parti Québécois as I am. It's been 40 years, guys. Can they give it a rest? And it's like they're trying to sell. It's like they're trying to sell life insurance. You know, it's like, whoa, yeah, you think you're doing okay now, but think of how rich you could be if you separate from Canada. All those ridiculous duplication. They're not talking about real stuff. What happens with the several $billion worth of federal infrastructure that has to be located in Quebec? And yeah, I'm talking about Trudeau Airport. Are they going to hand it over? Are they going to hand over military bases? Are they going to hand over the office space? That's federal property. It's got nothing to do with the Péquistes or indeed to that extent Quebec. What happens to the legal system? I believe it's called the Criminal Code of Canada. Are you going to adopt your own laws? How exactly is that going to work? This is garbage. This is a bunch of punks sitting around a table, in the college bar, sipping on a Stella, smoking a Galois unfiltered, and becoming great geniuses and planning the world. It's rubbish. And the big question here, guys, is who exactly are these people talking to? Because I think we're seeing a trend developing here. I think your average Quebecer doesn't give a hoot in hell about separation anymore. They're far more concerned about the economy here and now. And I really think that the PQ and the CAQ are battling over what I like to refer to as CAQ-land, the people who support the CAQ. Let's face it, there are millions of Quebecers who support Quebec sovereignty. Unfortunately, many of those millions are now in cemeteries, and the ones that are left pretty much live in CAQ-land. So I think this is what we're seeing here today, and we'll probably continue to see it at least for the next few months to come, is there's going to be a fight between François Legault over how many times he can kick, English Quebec in the head, and PSPP, who's going to turn around and with the same magic wand rhetoric that has been boring us to tears for 40 years, keep saying, trust me, this is going to work. All I have to do is click my little red shoes together.
All right.
What an awesome rant.
Yeah.
That was epic, Jim.
I wonder how much of that we can play for Paul St. Pierre Plamondon
can't wait.
tomorrow when we have him on the show.
Can't
And
wait.
tell him I say hi.
I somehow think he might not want to say hi back, Jim. But
Oh, I'm sure he will. He's a politician. He can't
That was
afford to
awesome.
upset anybody. I want to ask you, first of all, and we talked to Kelly Gregg earlier on, this idea, and it comes up, it's the first thing that always comes up, about equalization payments and how we're going to suggest we'll be a wealthy nation, even though we'll be, even by his own rationale, I think, his own numbers, somewhere about $5 billion or $6 billion short at the end of all this, because we're a net debtor when it comes to that, are we not?
Well, yeah. Well, straight up with equalization, I think it's about $9 billion we'll be losing. We'll be saving 4, but we won't be getting 13. So, it's about 9. But what the hell?
But what he does, and you know what he did, because he talked about this last week, Jim, is he brought up this idea, and they play this on their commercial, by the way, which they posted over the weekend. There's François Legault proudly saying this could work, everything here makes sense. Only it was 2005 when he was the PQ finance minister. So how much is this going to hurt him when they start running this ad and people start to remember what actually happened 15 years ago?
Well, honestly, if I can't speak to that, but I will tell you this. If the Liberals have a few molecules of brain matter left, they'll be working on their own ad that's going to splice together today's speech and François Legault's speech from 2005 and say, really, do you want more of this?
Well, there's a great
I
idea.
could pretty much guarantee that is not happening as we speak.
But it should. He's
be,
got a
but
good. Maybe it will. I mean, Jim, this does open a hole up for them, doesn't it? Come right up the middle.
You would think.
You would think.
You would think, but honestly, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
It's almost, politically speaking, this is a party that needs a seeing eye dog. I swear to God.
I was trying to understand.
On
We've
fire
touched on
today.
this with Kelly Gregg earlier too. Like, why? So he brings in Jacques Parizeau into the ad, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. He brings in François Legault, as Aaron just said, and he also shows a Couillard, Philippe Couillard, saying yes, a sovereign Quebec would be financially solvent. What's this idea? Like, sort of getting credibility from them. Like, I'm not crazy. This isn't a cockamamie scheme. Look, these guys thought it was valid too.
Well, those guys were wrong. I mean, in the end,
Yeah.
it didn't work.
You're right.
In the end, we're talking about, a movie that was made 40 years ago, and even then, the audiences in the end turned their back on it, and they're turning around trying to make a remake because, quite frankly, when it comes, if you want to see eye to eye on something, quite frankly, François Legault and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon don't have any of the answers for Quebecers who need them here and now. Okay? The issue in Quebec is not separation. It's the economy, it's healthcare, it's all these things that I shouldn't even have to repeat because most people who live on the planet Earth and this part of the planet Earth would know that. And these guys are talking as if they're living on some orbiting space station where the biggest issue is whether or not some, either Québécois columnist approves of what you're doing or whether or not you'll convince some Chambre de Commerce in St. Louis de Clan to turn around and vote for separation the next time around. It is kind of heartbreaking. I mean, we're giggling about it, but it is really heartbreaking in 2023 that this is the showcase. This is the gold standard for Quebec politicians.
Fair enough. I want you to hear this clip. This came up. Someone, I think, asked the question today during the press conference, comparing this, Quebec leaving Canada, to Brexit. Here's what Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon said.
On day one, you tell the United Nations, we want in. And you send your commercial missions, you start existing. You host 200 embassies in Quebec City overnight. So I don't think you can make a parallel with Brexit.
No parallel with Brexit, and he just laid out why, Jim.
I love this 200 embassies theme. I wonder how many of those embassies or how many of those ambassadors are going to be happy to have been assigned here when they're told to speak French when they try and order a drink in a bar in Quebec City.
Okay. Look, we've been told as well. This is just the first shoe to drop. There's more coming. I can't even begin to think what more could be coming beyond what was announced today.
Listen, guys, they're going to come together and they'll have the same recycled garbage
exactly
that we've been putting up with for 40 years. I mean, Lucien Bouchard at the end, he was right. It's not some magic wand you can wave, and you're presuming everyone's going to cooperate. What makes you think that when the time comes, and who knows, maybe the political situation in Ottawa may have changed, that the Canadian government turns around and goes, go plunk straight to hell. You're going to pay for this. We're not going to cooperate. And by the way, we also have something in this country called the Clarity Act. So you better make damn sure you've got a huge majority before you're going anywhere, Skippy.
But they're using that all over again, right? I mean, it's sovereignty association, that phrase, that term that they dredged back up.
I think you just hit the PQ's slogan for the next general election, Aaron, all over again.
It's so disheartening. It is. It just the fact that we're still here, and just a total waste of time and energy, and like we said, it's like stuck in a loop, man. It inhibits our progress. It prevents us from really moving forward as a society.
But wait a sec. We're getting all worked up, Jim, as you said last week, and as other people point out. There's 4 of these people elected in the National Assembly.
That's not the point. We're still.
Well, it is. It's the point to a degree. The fact that
quagmire.
they can get this much attention and just have 4 people there. They're not forming a government anytime soon. Why are we getting so worked up?
I guess you know why? Because you can live here and you can get a thick skin and you can shrug and say, listen, it really doesn't mean anything because there's a real world out there. And even the PQ had to eventually sit down and realize it had to deal with the real world. But at moment donné, guys, you just get so damn tired of hearing this garbage over and over again and hearing, say, at a press conference, and somebody either in the press corps or at that press conference is saying, why are you filling the air with rubbish that you know isn't true? I guess that's the frustrating part.
Okay. Jim Mennie on fire.
Can't
Jim,
wait
thank
to play
you.
those clips
Yeah,
tomorrow.
absolutely.